Let's start off with Fat Joe. So, this was very interesting as far as what the other side, the plaintiff, the guy TA, right? So when we hear, I think his name is Tyrone Dixon, but he goes by the alias TA, the previous hype man for Fat Joe that came around first with an initial complaint saying, I wrote a bunch of your music. I need $3 million. And after that, he started talking about minor stuff. Fat Joe sued him. They're suing each other now. They're into it. But the guy TA, he's got a lot going on. So check out this breakdown from a lawyer.
Lawyer repping the hype man suing Fat Joe. He's got a lot of problems. He's been arrested for mowing down a process server. That's going to be a problem. He's going to have to tell the bar. He could be facing penalties like suspension or disbarment. Now, this is just an arrest, but this is just one of many problems he's got. So Fat Joe, represented by Joe Tacopina, the former lawyer to Trump, coming hot off his big win in the ASAP case, are suing the hype man and the lawyer. And they're saying that you guys have defamed Fat Joe. You guys are basically engaged in a civil extortion scheme for money, that all of this shit is lies, and you're defaming me. Now, the claims from the hype man include that he was forced into 4,000 sexual acts. This begs the question, at what point are you responsible for the sexual act? Like, somebody forces you once, shame on them. Forces you twice, shame on them. At some point between being forced twice and 4,000, don't you have to take some responsibility? The other part of that lawsuit is this brother right here, everybody's favorite lawyer repping the hype man's $3,000 an hour lawyer to Elon.
Pause it for a second. He just said that Alex Spiro, aka Jay-Z's lawyer, aka the one that swiftly took down Tony Busby and now is countersuing Tony Busby, $3,000 an hour. Sheesh.
Elon Musk, Jay-Z, Rock Nation. Rock Nation was named in the Fat Joe lawsuit, saying that they're responsible because they were, I don't know, his manager. Alex Spiro, on behalf of Rock Nation, has filed a motion to dismiss swiftly, claiming that there is no legal basis for suing Rock Nation for any of this claims in the Fat Joe lawsuit. This is another problem, but wait, it gets to be so much more that's going on. Check.
Now, remember, I told y'all the concept that a lawyer that I spoke to prior for a different situation, they spoke about the terminology of scorching the earth, right? It's a lawyer's aggressive approach to saying, you came to me and you said you have a problem with this person, right? But I'm also going to put into this initial claim everybody in that person's backdrop, anybody that I can possibly attack for some form of liability. There's pros and there's cons to it. The pros is you're casting a wider net. You possibly are getting people involved that have some type of liability or maybe are involved in the type of infraction that you've incurred. But the con to it is you're bringing in other people that you may have to fight, right? You have to weigh your odds. And good lawyers need to do that. They need to explain that to their clients. Okay, we're going after Fat Joe, right? But there's also a lot of money behind Fat Joe, Rock Nation. And they may have been aware of some things that you are claiming in your lawsuit. So we're going to put them in as well. It depends. Pick your battles wisely. If you have evidence that Rock Nation did some shit to you, scorch the earth. If you don't, just simply to include them, simply because you feel like I always got to target where the bag is. Like Fat Joe got a bag, but Rock Nation got a bag. You go that direction simply because it's money motivated and you just want to cast a wide net, maybe even looking for like a quick settlement. They got so much money, they're probably just going to throw me some crumbs and get me out their face. It doesn't always work that way. Rock Nation has a reputation to protect. You fuck around, you sue them, they get you up out of here. Alex Spiro's motion to dismiss lands, gets approved, and then Rock Nation turns right towards you and says, our turn. Pros and cons. Good lawyers, not free lawyers, good lawyers better weigh the pros and the cons for you. Okay.
This out. So as you guys may have heard, this lawyer also represents Lil Rod in a civil lawsuit against Diddy. In that lawsuit, several claims against Diddy have been dropped. Several defendants have been dismissed, including Cuba Gooding Jr. and Justin Combs, for not being properly served. When the lawyer tried to get the judge to excuse that and let him properly serve them, the judge said, no, it's too late. They're being dismissed from this case. And then there's the Universal Music Group claims. Universal Music Group was dismissed, and went after the lawyer for sanctions. Here are just some of what judges have said about this lawyer's conduct in courts. So you'll see right here, start $3,000 an hour lawyer, starting from therefore, while Blackburn may have acted incompetently at times. I mean, that's a rough thing to have somebody say. And then Judge Coate did observe that a reasonable inference from Blackburn's pattern of behavior is that he improperly files cases in federal court to garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly. Yikes. It actually gets worse. Here, the judge has an entire section in his order dedicated as a warning to counsel. I mean, I could read it to you. In light of this, the court finds Blackburn's conduct regarding the motion to dismiss to be unsettling. Blackburn's filings are replete with inaccurate statements of law, conclusory accusations, and inappropriate ad hominem attacks on opposing counsel. Y'all, this man is a warrior. He's fighting the entire Diddy legal team, Joe Tacopina. He's fighting Alex Spiro. He's fighting federal judges. He's now been arrested by the NYPD. I mean, an absolute warrior. Lawyer starting from therefore, while Blackburn may have acted in.
That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with at one time. You know what that kind of makes me remember? It's like Diddy, who was suing the parent company. What was it, Diageo, right? Who was the parent company over Ciroc. They were worth just as much as like UMG. I think we pulled up like almost $60 billion that they're worth. And he started that lawsuit, but then his situation started that he had to fight his RICO, and he dropped that. You got way bigger fish to fry. Trying to take on too much at one time could be a very big detriment, right? Obviously. Now, this guy, they got so much that they're in the midst of while still trying to take aim at Fat Joe. Good luck, you know. It all becomes things to pay attention to, and their lawyers are going to target that. And then here's another thing that you also got to worry about. You do have the concept out in the world of, you know, the enemies of my enemies are my friends type of shit, right? You never know if any of those entities get together, exchange documents, exchange information. It's no different than so many people that despise Averb all of a sudden. I shouldn't say all of a sudden, but more frequently now are calling me, DMing me, tweeting me. You know, it's that like, oh, I don't like him, and I see what's going on. Let me, you know what I'm saying? And Joe's lawyer has to pay attention to all the other stuff that doesn't involve him that's going on as well, because they could leverage that. Now, I told you that there's two coins to today's update, or two sides to the coin on today's update, right? Check this out now. So shout out to Checks and Balances as always. I saw this morning from y'all sending it to me. Choke No Joke, I think, got into some of the paperwork, right? Was this part of the initial claim? Let's check this out.
Listen, that says something that, yo, my loyalty can't be questioned. Mr. P says, yo, that's something between you and Joe. That ain't got nothing to do with me and you. Percy, don't ever question my loyalty, brother. Please. Mr. P said, no, my thing to you is that this ain't going on, ain't nothing going on to do with, at the end of the day, that got to do with you and Joe.
All right, let me pause. Choke No Joke. I got to be careful with him sometimes because I've seen him do some Jaguar right type shit before. But Pistol Pete caught on a recorded phone call trying to line up TA. Once again, TA, I believe, once again, is Tyrone Dixon, the person that is Fat Joe's ex hype man that's suing him. Terrence Dixon's civil RICO versus Fat Joe, Choke No Joke Live. Let's read the caption to this. And shout out to Hip Hop Is Real. Got this posted. When you have a recorded phone call trying to line up TA, the legend, and you are a part of Fat Joe's team, you have to know that these threats are serious. When you are on the same phone call and you are threatening to get Cuban Link as well, and people know you to be Fat Joe's goon, it is time to lawyer up. I don't know how serious Fat Joe is taking this, but the lawyer Tyrone Blackburn, that's Dixon's lawyer, right, said on my show that he turned all of this evidence over to the FBI already, as well as got them in contact with the alleged minors. Trust me, Rock Nation must know this information by now. You can see the full video on my YouTube channel. So, the reason why that's spooky, I mean, we all know Pistol Pete, right? Pistol Pete, hell, we met him all the way back to the DVD era, right? He had the whole kill all rats movement. Many people would say one of Fat Joe's goons, friends, whatever. And if he's on recordings threatening people and he's got such a public and well-established history-laden tie to Fat Joe, and you're threatening people like TA, even Cuban Link. Now, Cuban Link is a street nigga, right? We know the story of how Cuban Link got cut. He used to be part of the terror squad. He came up with Fat Joe, and they've been into it or at odds for about 20 years at this point, right? So to have Pistol Pete allegedly on audio threatening Cuban Link, that ain't going nowhere. Cuban Link's a street nigga. He's not going to court about that, right? But threatening TA allegedly, and if you turn that over to the FBI, that's not good. That's not good. There was even recent, it was this week, right? 50 Cent posted something about no, I'm telling y'all, 50 Cent never threatened my life or never tried to get me hit or nothing like that, right? Didn't 50 Cent post that? Because when 50 and Fat Joe was into it, you don't know how they was feeling about each other. They could have been trying to line each other up at a deeper level, right? It's two strong, powerful street guys, right? Fat Joe and 50 Cent. I think they were a threat in both directions. I know 50 was the man walking around with all the power on the music industry side of things, but Fat Joe has never been no slouch in the street, ever, right? And I think something came out recently, and because Fat Joe's already got all this stuff going on with this lawsuit, and now 50 Cent and Fat Joe are friends, if you want to ask my opinion on that, I think 50 Cent was throwing him an alley-oop. Maybe he did hear about some street serious stuff back when they were into it. But 50 Cent gets on his gram and he supports him. Nah, I never heard that. Fat Joe never threatened my life and nothing like that, man. Me and him is good. Threw him an alley-oop. No different than he just did with Tyler Perry. You got to pay attention. So if the FBI is in possession, the whole thing with the minors, we heard that already, that this person put the FBI in touch with the alleged victims, these little girls as well. I'm moving more into neutrality, that neutral gray area from yesterday, right? Because there's other elements that's coming in now, you know, street shit, victims, threats, alleged recordings, alleged victims already being put in touch with the FBI. This is getting messier. Still shout out to Joe, but checks and balances, it's time for us to do the paperwork. Okay. Because yesterday I was more on just like, I'm on this side of the gate. This look real money grabbish. And it still could be, but there's other elements that's coming in. It's like, wait a minute, Joe. They're creating some problems for you that look serious. Checks and balances, once again, it might be time for us to do the paperwork. It might be.